So, well, okay. Let's get into this one because this one's a little fiery. Now, you know that on the Democrat side, Democrats have, a couple of things. They have the women's card, fertility rights, the minority card, right? The race card. And then they also have the Social Security card. Those are like the big ticket items of the Democratic Party when it comes to trying to, I don't know if it would be like to destroy the Republican Party, but they definitely use it to like have them bend a knee on certain issues. But what was just released, quite literally, April 29th, 2025, a special press release from the Social Security Administration. What you have here is a response to the Democrats aggressively attacking the Trump administration over his changes to the Social Security Administration. So naturally, the Social Security Administration having Commissioner Dudek, who is, put in, directed by Donald Trump, they came out with and released directly from the Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration highlights key accomplishments in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. Now, remember, you have on one side presidential future hopeful commissioner or past commissioner Martin O'Malley. I really liked him, so I'm gonna have to watch my bias with this video because I am a huge fan of Commissioner Martin O'Malley. I think he did an amazing job when he was at the SSA. Now, at the same time, I think Commissioner Dudek hasn't really had a shot at being like a commissioner in his own right. He is a commissioner that's being heavily directed by Elon, heavily directed by Trump. So we're not really seeing him shining through as an individual. We're more of seeing him as like a chess piece being utilized as an agency by the Trump administration. Now, you have on one side, Commissioner Martin O'Malley is throwing knives day and night. He is singeing the Republicans with news about potential collapse of benefits, potential missed benefits, potential, benefit services being ended or screwed up or whatever. But they're hitting the Republicans with that. Now, on the other side, you have the Republicans who've been taking a lot of punches and not being able to respond. This is the quasi FU letter from Trump to Democrat Social Security executives and Democrat Social Security recipients. Because remember, he's kind of sort of given up on Democrats that were voting for him. His whole thing is Republicans and independents. So this is his FU letter essentially to the Democrat Social Security recipients. Let's get into it real quick. Here we go. Social Security Administration highlights key accomplishments in the first 100 days of the Trump administration. So just remember, like first 100 days, that's like slightly more than 3 months. And I know what's weird is like, well, hold on. Let me look it up. I'm curious to see how many days has Donald Trump been in office in his second term. Let's see. No. Just give me a number. What we can't. Where's my AI? There's no AI. I don't know. We'll just assume it. We'll assume it's around 100 since this thing came out. All right, here we go. So here's the bottom line. Let's get into it real quick. The Social Security Administration today announced its progress implementing President Trump's bold agenda to improve services to the public while safeguarding taxpayer dollars. Working with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, SSA has charted a new course for the agency that prioritizes enhancing customer service, reducing waste, fraud, and abuse, and optimizing its workforce towards direct public service. All right. Well, that's fair. You know what I mean? He had to cut a lot of stuff. They are catching a lot of fraud. They are reviewing a lot of fraud. OIG was doing that before, but they're doing more of it now. So, all right, we'll roll with it. Quote, I am proud of the extraordinary work by our dedicated employees at the SSA to help deliver on President Trump's promise to protect Social Security, said Lee Dudek, acting commissioner of Social Security. Quote, our employees understand the urgency of the moment and have worked hard to restore the public's trust. While much work remains to be done, there's no question that SSA is taking the necessary steps to transform how it serves the public while protecting hardworking American taxpayers. All right, so, the spin is protect Social Security, protect the trust funds, go after the fraudsters, keep the SSA employees working. But ironically, the thing was they got rid of 7,000 plus even more with the tech support group. So, I mean, they're coming at this from a much smaller program than they used to have. All right. Progress on the Social Security Fairness Act. Now, this is true. This is where Trump really shined. Biden completely effed up this one. You're going to see stuff where Trump effed up stuff in, but on this one, Biden effed this one up. In December, no, so it was like November, the Senate passed it or something, and then maybe it was December, I forget. Then December, we're expecting, Biden to go ahead and sign the Social Security Fairness Act into law. And the only reason the Social Security Fairness Act really went and became law was because the police force, chief whatevers, went to Mar-a-Lago, spoke with Trump. Trump said, I'll pass it if Biden will not. And then Biden heard that news, and Biden said, well, now I got to pass it, because if we let the Republicans look good by passing the Social Security Fairness Act, then they won't be able to use one of the three main cards that the Democrats use to really injure the ability of the, Republican Party. Just, female fertility laws, race cards, and then basically Social Security cards. Those are your three. And you remove Social Security, you're not going to get a lot of old retired people voting for the Democrats. So they got to be strong, because that is a big voting block for the Democrats. So, but again, on this one, Biden screwed up. He signed it way too late. They were way too slow on it. It just worked to their disadvantage. Trump comes in, Dudek comes in, they start pushing this thing, more checks go out, it happens faster, boom, 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 things are rolling. SSA has made significant strides in implementing the Social Security Fairness Act, having paid over $14.8 billion in retroactive payments to more than 2.2 million individuals affected by the windfall elimination provision and government pension offset. Under President Trump's leadership, the agency's original estimate of taking a year. That's true. Under Biden's administration, they said it was going to take a year to start paying these benefits out. Okay, so under Trump's leadership, the agency original estimate of taking a year or more to issue payments now will only apply to only complex cases that cannot be processed by automation. The agency continues to communicate updates and provide resources to the public regarding this important legislation at their SSA, Social Security Fairness Act.com website portal. So we've done some videos specifically on that, but this is where Trump really shined. This is a shiny star for him. Now, there's other ones where he gets stars taken away from him. Let's go to the next one. Cost avoidance. That's why that one's at the top. They always put the shining star stuff. That's how government works. If you want to read what makes them feel and look good, it's right at the top. You want to read the thing that makes them look like total crap, it's part of a sentence that has 8 commas, and it's right at the end or intermixed somewhere 3/4 of the way through that sentence. All right, here we go. Next one. Cost avoidance and efficiency initiatives. Okay, here we go. SSA has identified over $1 billion in cost avoidances or efficiencies for fiscal year 2025 through new common sense approaches in areas such as payroll, information technology, contracts, and grants, real property, printing, travel, and purchase card policies. Yeah, because they basically made the purchase cards only have the ability to purchase $1, $1. These efforts reflect SSA's commitment to being a good steward of taxpayer dollars while enhancing service delivery. Now, here's the thing. I am waiting for Trump's team to come out with spicy information. I was expecting it. I haven't seen it yet. I was expecting more about these charge cards. I was expecting more about the travel money that these SSA employees were allowed to travel and have it paid for on government dime, which is really just your dime. So I've been waiting. I've been waiting patiently. I have not seen any of that stuff. I think it will come out, but I think he's waiting to release it to have the most effective, bang. And remember, there's 2 big bangs in the future. There's the midterm elections, right? House and Senate. And then the next election cycle in basically 3.5 years. Super thank you to Princess Diana. Just a real quick, she did a $2 donation. That's absolutely amazing. She said, hey, I'm only 30 years old. Sure. Sure. Me too. Sure. Sounds good, obviously. But indeed, she's been with us forever. She's a member. You can see by the little icon that she's been a member for a very, very long time. In fact, she's getting close to some of the final membership tokens, which is absolutely, absolutely amazing. Now, workforce optimization. Here we go. SSA has broken down work silos by combining similar functions across offices. That's where he got rid of a bunch of like regional offices and then scooped them into just here's your north, south, east, west, or rather north, north, south, east, whatever. My brain is not working. What the hell? Well, hold on. Let me compass. For some reason, that seems wrong to me. Hold on. Let me pull this up real quick. North, east, south. Oh, it's northeast, southwest. I was gonna say because like I'm in Florida, I'm south, and north, south, east, west sounds good, but it's wrong. Northeast, southwest. There we go. My apologies. It is 12:13 a.m. and I do have a hearing in the morning. All right, here we go. SSA has broken down work silos by combining similar functions across offices by streamlining outdated and inefficient organizational structures at headquarters and in the regions. SSA has increased accountability enterprise-wide. SSA has also implemented President Trump's directive that teleworking employees must return to work in person full time. As SSA reshapes its organization to focus on direct customer service to the public, all non-essential staff receive the option of deferred resignation. SSA further extended to all staff the option of voluntary early retirement, voluntary separation incentive payment, and voluntary reassignment to a frontline position. So far, SSA has processed to completion about 350 deferred resignations, over 3,000 voluntary separations, and about 2,000 employees in support positions have accepted and will be reassigned on a flow basis to the offices in most need of staffing resources, meaning they're going to move. They're going to move to another state. Importantly, reports that the agency is permanently closing local field offices are false. Since January 1st, 2025, SSA has not permanently closed or announced the permanent closure of any local field office. From time to time, SSA must temporarily close a local field office for reasons such as weather damage, facility issues, and it reopens when the issues are resolved. Well, they don't close the office. They've been closing portions of those offices or functions of those offices. And they did close quite a few offices. They're just not field offices. They're regional offices, they're payment division offices, they're, things like that. So they are closing offices. They're just not field offices. You know what I mean? A little bit of schmooze in there from Trump. Trump's got a little, Trump knows how to swing it. He does know how to swing it. He knows how to put a little spin on things. But to be fair, if we're just really realistic about this, you know what I mean? It's true. You still have your local field offices. However, in the not too distant future, some of those leases are expected to be ended. So that is a quasi true statement, because I'm thinking of like one office that I'm pretty sure is closed that was a field office, but I think it had a dual like use thing. So maybe they recategorized it. You know how they do that stuff, a little bit of fishy math kind of stuff. But I think no matter what, this statement is not going to be true when that lease, redoing the lease thing for some of these buildings comes up. It is what it is, Modernizing telephone services. Now, you guys know the SSA telephone service had a lot of problems. They hired a company, the company didn't deliver. They had to switch to a new group. SSA has begun rolling out to all of its field offices a modern telecommunication platform that it successfully implemented on its national 800 number. Once fully implemented, this platform will allow the agency to better manage calls to its field offices nationwide while providing more self-service options for customers, including artificial intelligence-enabled enhancements. To date, SSA has migrated over 350 offices in the Southeast and Northeast regions. It expects to complete rollout to all field offices and card centers nationwide by the end of summer of 2025. Early results show improvements in office answer rates and average speed of answer. Approximately 30% of calls are being serviced by automation, improving efficiency. I mean, but remember, automation, like they have all kinds of levels of that. Automation is just your auto attendant redirecting you to a different location, and then you have to like get the information, and maybe the information is automatically provided to you, yada yada. But once they get AI on these phone systems, that's going to change this stuff massively. That is going to change this stuff massively. You're going to be able to call up, get information, get stuff together, etc. Fraud prevention. This is where he's going to make his claim that he's great and Democrats suck. I haven't read actually most of this yet, so we're going through this together. Fraud prevention. SSA has implemented enhanced fraud prevention tools for claims filed over the telephone, further modernizing the agency's service and strengthening program integrity. The new technology enables SSA to identify suspicious activity in telephone claims by analyzing patterns and abnormalities, and anomalies within a person's account. So basically, just to be fair, they are profiling all of you. that's that's what they're doing. So you call in, you submit a form, you're going into a profiling system that has artificial intelligence. If you don't, you know what I mean, fit the bill, then you're going to get a suspicious activity account notification, red flag goes up, and then you get a review. If irregularities are detected, the individual will be asked to complete in-person identity proofing to continue processing their claim. These advancements allow SSA to maintain the security of its services while continuing to provide access to customers for customers who may be unable to file online or visit an in-person office. The agency will continue to conduct identity verification for all in-person claims. For the latest information on identity proofing, visit ssa.gov/news/identityproofing.html. Blah, 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 blah. Just search it on Google. It'll pop up. Addressing aged records. That's an interesting category for Trump to hit, because how the hell is he going to address aged records, aged claims, like old claims that have to be like decided, if he doesn't have a lot of the staff that he used to have? It's a little interesting here. SSA has made significant progress in improving the accuracy of death data. Trump. My spin, buddy. The master spinzels. Yeah, so SSA has made significant progress in improving the accuracy of death data. So, I mean, yeah, you're finally, as an administration, going after the people who are still alive, that aren't still alive, right? The old. And then the other side of the coin is like, you took a ton of, immigrants, and then you took them off the master death list. And so now they can't get bank accounts, they can't get loans. So, I mean, yeah, you kind of improved the accuracy. Sure, you did. But you're doing a little funny business with those immigrants on it. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so SSA has made significant progress in improving the accuracy of death data, addressing a long-standing oversight concern. Yeah, they should have been dealing with this. They should have put the money towards it. They should have cleaned up, who's on the rolls, because there shouldn't have been 110, 130-year-old people on it. It just shouldn't, you know what I mean? But that's not where the major fraud was. Major fraud was where those people who were 110, 130 years old were filing for COVID loans. That's where the real bad fraud was. The income claim to those social security numbers. That's where the issue was. All right, so let's see what we got here. This initiative reinforced the agency's establishment procedures to identify people who have a higher likelihood of being deceased due to their age or incomplete death reports. Updating the records of individuals who are implausibly old to be living in an important anti-fraud measure. That's true. I'll give them that. Criminals may use those individuals' information to commit fraud. That's the most important thing. The most important thing in this document is that sentence right there. Criminals may use those individuals. Okay? Those the very old ones that are actually already dead, the deceased ones. Criminals may use those individuals' information to commit fraud. That's what we keep seeing in these OIG hot sheets. They're getting all these vintage social security numbers. They're still active. I don't understand. And maybe it's a political scheme. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe there's some master plan behind all of it. But how the hell is the SSA not on top of knowing who's actually alive and who's not? How do you have people who are impossibly, and then how did the criminals know that those social security numbers are good? Who is feeding the information to them? And then you get into the whole, on election day, who's filling out, you know what I mean? Who's filling stuff out with those? There's quite a bit of that stuff going on too. And remember, they sold that. Oh, it was the most complete and accurate blah 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 we've ever had. Oh God. When I had people telling me that, and as somebody who programs back in the day, built websites, you don't understand how mentally limited you sound when you say those things. like especially to somebody who programmed. If you say to somebody like the system was the most specifically accurate we've ever had in a there is no safe system. There is no bank account system that can't be hacked. There is no system that exists. They all have backdoors. They all have different user lines, user key logins. They have super admins that can go into areas that could change the program. There's no safe system. Closest thing we could have to a safe system, they are never going to give us, which is blockchain for voting. They're never going to give that to us. If they give us that, the safest form of voting, if they give that to us, politics will never be the same in America because they wouldn't be able to play all the games that they play. Next thing, as part of this effort, SSA has safeguards in place to ensure that it does not update records for individuals who are still alive. No instances have arisen to date where an implausibly old individual whose record SSA updated actually contacted the agency for reinstatement. SSA has a process in place to reinstate individuals in its records if the agency ever makes an error. Yeah, it just sucks. Like when they say somebody's dead and they're not, it's a whole harangue to like get the benefits turned back on. By the way, there will be somebody saying, "Oh, geez Louise, what are you saying? The systems are accurate. They're good." If the systems were accurate, you wouldn't constantly have to update your phone because of a security breach. If the systems were accurate, okay, they would not have some guy, okay, who sits there and Googles just like you and me to like see something we like or whatever, having access to the main base functional reporting and, code changing parameters of the programs that actually run these supposedly safest programs we've ever had. How much money do you think it would take to convince somebody who's got a $150,000 job a year to modify some programming? Let's say he got $250,000 a year. How much would you need to bribe that person to change a comma to a period? That's all I'm saying. It's not hard to imagine. It's pretty simple, straightforward stuff. Stewarding taxpayer dollars and ensuring program integrity. SSA announced it will increase the default overpayment withholding rate for old age, survivors, and disability insurance beneficiaries from 10% of a person's monthly benefit, resulting in an increase in overpayment recoveries of about $7 billion in the next decade. So instead of 10%, they're going to hit you with the 50%. SSA also announced the immediate resumption of the Treasury Offset Program for debts accrued prior to March 2020. So basically, if you owe them money, they're going to come get you. The SSA is coming and they are knocking and they want to meet you and they want to get paid. This decision came after a suspension of collections due to the economic challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. Since 1992, the SSA has referred delinquent OASDI and supplemental security income debts to TOP as mandated by law. Prior to the suspension in March of 2020, SSA had successfully collected almost $2 billion in previously unrecoverable delinquent debt through TOP. The program is essential for maintaining the integrity of the OASDI and SSI programs. So let me make this very clear. If you owe the SSA money and you are not paying it and they've sent you a dunning notice, they're going to come get you. And they're going to refer you over there, and then it's going to get way shittier for you, and you're going to have all these problems and yada, yada, yada. So just be aware in the not too distant future, people are going to have to pay back whatever overpayment debt the SSA claims that they have. Whether it's, accurate or not, you got to argue that, you submit your 632s, whatever. But, that's what's going on here. Improving payment accuracy. SSA has begun a phased rollout of the Payroll Information Exchange, known as PI. After years of delays, PI allows the agency to receive automated wage information directly from payroll data providers. This data exchange improves payment accuracy, reduces improper payments, eases the reporting burden on individuals, and results in more efficient use of SSA's limited administrative resources. It's estimated that PI will save $1.1 billion in OASDI benefit payments over the next 10 years, in addition to $1.8 billion in federal SSI payment savings over the same time period. All right, so what is that? What it is is that now they are snooping on payroll companies. And the payroll companies tell the SSA what you got paid the moment you got paid it. And when they do that, the SSA knows immediately whether or not you should have your check cut off because you are not eligible that month for the benefits. So now that they have access to these, payroll information exchanges, they're snooping on you if you're trying to work. Okay, that's what's going on. Expanding health information technology, health IT. SSA is renewing its focus on expanding partnerships within the health IT program, which facilitates electronic data exchanges for faster disability determinations. This initiative not only expedites the benefits process for applicants, but also saves taxpayers money by reducing the costs associated with collecting medical records. As each year, the SSA receives over 3 million new applications for disability benefits and spends over $500 million to collect medical records for applicants. All right, so what is this? The SSA now has the ability with a lot of facilities to buy your medical records, not using a traditional 827 HIPAA, but now they have access to a health IT information exchange where they can get in there and grab your records without having to go through the traditional 827 submission process. So are they snooping on what's going on with your medical? Yeah, now they have access to a lot of the bigger medical facilities that are participating in this health IT program information exchange. So that's what's going on there. All right, next one. Cost reduction and enhancement plan for Social Security number verification. SSA has developed a comprehensive plan to improve the electronic consent-based Social Security number verification service. This initiative is designed to ensure the continued viability of the ECBSV service while addressing the needs of customers, including the financial industry and various government bodies. Highlights of the plan include a phased approach to reducing operation costs by up to approximately 40%, lowering user fees by, can you believe that in this entire paragraph, they haven't told you yet what this program actually does? Like, did you guys notice that? They didn't tell you what they're actually doing with that. It'll lower it by approximately 25%, which allows the greater accessibility while still meeting cost recovery requirements and providing more detailed information in no-match results, which aids in decision making. They didn't tell you what this program is. Somebody wrote that part that obviously has an MBA, obviously, because they wrote something that's using a lot of words that doesn't tell you what it actually is. Cost reduction and enhancements plan for Social Security number verification. I mean, they could have gone into detail about like specifics, but I guess if they're going to throw some things about how things are going to be faster and cheaper, yada, yada. All right. Implementation of the hearing, recording, and transcription HART system. Now, this is interesting because you guys know I've worked with a lot of hearing reporters. I've had hearing reporters work for the law firm. This is interesting. SSA is set to complete the nationwide rollout of the HART system, which replaces outdated hardware with a software solution for recording and transcribing hearings. This AI-enabled tool is expected to save approximately $5 million annually while ensuring due process through more accurate transcripts. So I think what's going to happen is we're seeing the transition of the SSA no longer using, basically hearing reporters in the future where they're sitting there typing things out. AI is just going to type it out and then they're going to, use that as they use it. Next one, raising awareness against scams. In collaboration with the SSA Office of the Inspector General, SSA continues to raise public awareness about Social Security-related scams. SSA and OIG co-sponsored the 6th annual Slam the Scam Day on March 6th, which, to be honest, they do this like Slam the Scam Day, but it's not like an event that's like massive. It's you know what I mean? They do. You ever notice the government will be like, SSA and OIG co-sponsored the 6th annual Slam the Scam Day on March 6th, highlighting the steps the public can take to protect themselves and their loved ones from Social Security imposter scam. It's not like, you know what I mean? They don't throw a music concert, you know what I mean? But they sell it like that. They sell it like, some new science technology was innovated on that day. This is a type of scam where fraudsters pretend to be SSA employees and mislead victims into sharing personal information or making cash wire transfer or gift card payments to fix alleged Social Security number problems. I mean, Trump didn't really do this. This has been going on for for a long time. A long time. So I don't feel like this is really, I don't feel like this belongs in this first 100 days of Trump. I feel like that's not specific to him. Next one, enhanced communication and transparency. In keeping with President Trump's belief, there we go, a little selling, a little nudge there. In keeping with President Trump's belief that good government must serve the people, SSA has regularly published updates on agency operations across all of its communication channels and will continue to do so. This includes publishing on SSA's website key performance data previously available only to SSA employees. The agency regularly updates the data so the public can see how the agency is doing. The public can access the webpage at ssa.gov/SSA performance. That's true. There's a lot of really good information there that started to come out. In the future, you're starting to see, well, it shows you good and bad. Shows you good and bad. That is good. Trump finished strong on that one, but the one above it was BS. Trump had nothing to do with that. That's standard operating procedure. That he had nothing to do with the whole raising awareness against scam. That's not his gig. Let's do a quick summary real quick as to which ones are Trump and which ones are not really him. Progress on Social Security Fairness Act, that was him. That was his golden ticket. Cost avoidance and efficiency initiatives. Yeah, he's had some ups and downs there, but that's him. Workforce optimization, that's 100% him. The Democrats were not for that at all. Modernizing telephone service, that was him. That was definitely him. Fraud prevention, that's him. That's him. The new systems, the new rollouts. Addressing aged records, that's definitely him. Stewarding taxpayer dollars and ensuring program integrity, that's not him. That's OIG does that stuff. The whole 10% thing to now 50% used to be 100%. That's not really his thing. He just recently touched it, but that's not his thing. Improving payment accuracy, that's a Biden thing. Biden was working on that. That almost came out during Biden's thing, so that's not really him. Expanding health information technology, that was a Commissioner Martin O'Malley thing. Literally the payroll information exchange and the health information technology exchange were both Martin O'Malley things. So he's kind of snookering some, you know what I mean? That's not really his praisings right there. That's not his. Cost reduction and enhancement plan for Social Security number verification. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. I'll give that to him. I'll let Trump have that one. Implementation of the hearing recording and transcription system. That's not him. That was being rolled out with Commissioner Martin O'Malley. That was a Biden gig. Raising awareness against scams. That has nothing to do with Trump in the sense of the Slam Scam Day and stuff like that. Obviously him being on the news and constantly talking about scams does make it seem like it's raising awareness about scams, but I don't feel like there was an advertisement initiative other than Elon being like, look at all the scam stuff we found, and then some of it being accurate and true. Enhanced communication and transparency, that Trump gets that one. Although, to be fair, it's built off of the systems created by Commissioner Martin O'Malley, or at least enhanced by Commissioner Martin O'Malley. But still, Trump is now publishing that stuff more so. All right, so here's my gig. In summary, after 100 days of Trump being in office, what I thought would collapse parts of the Social Security Administration, they haven't collapsed yet. But we're not really going to see that happen, because of the rollout and how many people are needed until we hit June or July. That's when things are going to get spicy. Things are either going to get really spicy then, or they're just going to kind of lump along as they've been lumping along. My belief is that Trump is focused on three major things to make sure the Democrats can't get in on him. Because remember, this was your classic, quasi threat spiel, letter to Democrats from Trump. Because remember, the Democrats are hitting him hard. And there's the three cards: female fertility, race card, and then basically your classic Social Security card. Those are the three means that they use to try and beat the Republicans. The Social Security Administration is being run more like a for-profit corporation. I want to know, do you guys support the SSA being run where its employees are being pushed more like a for-profit corporation? Or did you like the SSA as to how it was before, where essentially there were a lot more employees and people had a more relaxed, relaxed existence. I'm curious. I'm just curious as to what your thoughts would be on that. All right. Anyways, with that said, I will catch you all a little bit later. But first, please hit the like button. You guys don't give enough love to the like button. Give it a little love. Give it a little tappy tap. You're not going to break it. Also, please remember, head over to Google if you like. It always makes me happy. Type in disability resolution law firm, disability resolution, Florida. Obviously, Attorney Walter Hnot was viewed, subscribed to, clicked on Disability Attorney in America. I am not one of those things where basically I get a claim and refer it out to somebody else. Like, I'm the guy who's in the hearing. I'm the guy who's in the hearing. So the point that I'm getting to is that, if you want to support the law firm, you always have that option where you could Google disability resolution. Also, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays to answer questions for free. And finally, if you need a bigger session where I'm not just talking to you for 5 minutes, there's a 1-hour private session link below. You can always check that out. And we can always work on some particular issue that you're having in that 1-hour private session. If you need a disability attorney, call a bunch. You can always call me. If you have an upcoming hearing and you don't have an attorney or you don't like your attorney, you can always reach out, blah, blah, blah. I hope you do well. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I will catch up with you in the not too distant future. All right. Sleep well. It is 12:39 a.m. and we will rock and roll directly into Thursday. Thanks so much, Attorney Walter Hnot. We'll go from there. All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.